Hello, everyone. I'd like to ask that everyone find a chair and sit down, including the little people. As you find a chair, it is my very great pleasure to bring onto the stage the longtime president of the Yukon Jamboree, Jenny Pelcola.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not the president now, but I was for about 22 years. But tonight, I want to welcome everybody. I hope you have a good time tonight. Don't waste the music, okay? We have some musicians from out of town, and we also have some local musicians. So please don't waste the music. That's a sin. Okay, with that, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for tonight, a long time resident of Galena. I believe he grew up here. He was probably born in Galena, I'm not too sure, but I would like to introduce to you Paddy Nollner. If you would come up, Paddy.
Now what that lady got me into anyway, I didn't expect this, you know. Just last week, Samuel John supposed to have been here to be the guest speaker, but so I'm here tonight. Anyway, I was born and raised in Old Town Galena. That's downtown. And downtown Old Galena was a village then, and in 1921, I think they moved down from Old Loudon, about 14 miles up river, and then they moved down from Old Loudon to here because of the Galena ore discovered across the mountains over there, and then. My dad and the rest of the family up in Old Loudon moved down to Old Galena. Even though the riverbanks were kind of low, but then they decided to come down and build there. So I have written down a little bit that I know of Galena all through these years. And now I'm talking about my dad. My dad is Edgar Nollner Sr., who passed on 1999, December 18th, about 12:18 at night. And my dad did not take any alcohol in his life or smoke. He was a hard-working man, and that's what we like to see about some of our folks that's coming up. And Dad went to school in Old Loudon, but he went to maybe fourth graders in that area. And but by using common sense, he made headways in his life. My dad, Yukon Nollner Jr., Yukon Nollner Sr., and my name is after my dad. So my real name is Yukon Nollner Jr., but somehow they started calling me Paddy, P-A-D-D-Y. And sometimes some people get mixed up when they say, you want to get her? Because, you know, Patty, they say Paddy too. Sometimes they get mixed up with P-A-T-T-Y and Paddy. Okay, so my dad ran in 1925 SERM run. They were called and said there was some kind of a diphtheria over there in Nome, and some kids were losing their lives, and they need a SERM over there, so they relay by dog team every so far to every village. And Dad had to be one of them to say, okay, I'll take that from Whiskey Creek to here. And he said it was 51 below, or 54 below. Barely see the leaders out there in the fog going through overflow and stuff like that. And then his brother took it from here, Old Galena, downtown, on down to Bishop Rock. From there, Charlie Evans, that's Dick Evans' dad. So Dad was involved in that. So, and he never talked about what he did. He said he only did it so he can. He was thinking about those young folks that's dying over there, or in the quarantine Nome at that time. But and then just 2010, they had a documentary about the SERM run, and it took about 10 years. And the documentary was about how they went from Anchorage by train, and they took dog team all the way, relay, just like Pony Express, all the way out to Nome. And they did a movie on that, and they call it Icebound. So one day, the producer of the movie from New York came with his people there, and film and talk with Dick and I, and I called Bill Jr. from Ruby. Bill Jr. McCarty came down from Ruby. He's the son of Bill McCarty Sr., who ran it from Ruby down to Whiskey Creek. So we were involved in that one, and but the producer of the movie and director, after he showed that movie on December 7th, he passed on about 2.5 months later. But you know, Danny Patrick is a resident of Galena, and he said his children saw that movie over in Germany, and so in foreign country that movie is doing well because of the scenery of Alaska and the dog team. So anyway, like I was saying, this mini Yukon Jamboree is centered around alcohol free. So and that is a good thing, because we love to see us young kids do what you're doing out there. I see you're picking up some of that old time way that our people used to do, doing the gin ale, and later on you're going to do, there's all kinds of dance. There's waltz, jitterbug, chicken, square dance, sawdust, limbo, sawdish, and so it's good to see that come back alive around here, if you could bring it back. And some of us still know how to do it, but you gotta be awful careful when you make your twist, because authorized is sitting in somewhere. Okay, now like I say, Dad was a non-alcohol drinker. He never drank in his life, but after 21 years of my life, like a fool, I went and drank for 21 years of my life, and that was not very good for me. Finally, one day, I said, I'm going to give it up because of the grandchildren that's around the house, and we're having little arguments every time we have a little alcohol with my partner, so I took it upon myself and with really determination to quit, and that's what I did. Although it took a long time to trying to get the alcohol in my out of my system, and every time I get urging for alcohol or liquor or something, only think of the bad things that I might have said against certain people or fought with, or the trouble I was in when I took alcohol. And the hardest one is that I always think of the dry heave. Nothing come out when you want it to come out. So that one won over. So now it's 30 some years since I'm an alcohol-free person, and so make a lot of difference in a person's life. All through the years, I know a lot of people that went that right, but I see them are doing pretty well for themselves. Now, as I was looking at this over here, now, I've been jogging this and this all day and every day since the other day. But anyway, my dad said the first school right here was in 1928. 1928. So that means if they moved here in 7 years later, finally got school in Galena. So. And the other thing I'm going to talk about, we got only, I look at my watch because I just like to make it kind of short as they can. And the people is made of, in this clinic is made of from people all over Alaska, or even out lower 48. You notice that ever since 1940. And people from Caltech, Nolato, and Holy Cross, whatever, you got them all coming here. For some reason, you got some good people here. You can notice that when they have a raffle, they raise $10,000 or more. And that's really good people, kind-hearted people. Some came and gone and move on. Some have passed on too, I know of. And I really enjoy the people here because they're the ones that make Galena what it is. Although the jobs are getting harder to find all over the world. And even some people are moving on to Fairbanks or Anchorage. Fairbanks and Anchorage is the biggest village there is in Alaska. And I'm trying to look for that one where it say what teacher was the first one. I got it somewhere. Just hold on a second. And the other thing about being here in Galena, now and then you get very important people come through here. One time, way back in the early 60s, Edward Kennedy came here and put up a microphone like this in front of Fish and Wildlife office down in there and made speech. And Billy Mills, who was a runner, he was here too. I got to get to meet him and shook his hands. I like runners because I'm one of those guys that do that too, you know. And so now, and through all these years, I've seen a lot of floods in this community. I've seen everyone except 1937 and 1925. And but my dad and the older people used to talk about the flood. But this is the biggest one I ever seen. It came over the dike just a little bit down by Gilbert's, ran on top of the dike. We had to move his dogs, Gilbert and I, one day into a boat. Then I had to run back uptown because my place is only about 8 inches more to go over. So, but then they didn't do that. And education. For young folks, my message out to young folks is complete your high school and go to college if you can. Because that there is very important. Important for yourself, your family, your community. I worked for airlines since 1962, and then I retired in 2006 from the airlines. But if I had more education, I was asked to be a station manager here a couple of times, but the paperwork is so complicated, and I decided I'd just be a good old forklift operator and cargo handler and all the good things that come around the airfield. And so education is really very, very important for young people. It brings a higher job in the long run, higher pay job. So now, since I'll tell you just a little bit about in the older days. That I should start with first, but right here now I'm going to talk about the older days where when we used to go to school. At the log cabin, we used to be down by the church down there at downtown by the Fish and Wildlife Service there, the log cabin. And we had about 30 students in there. And no TV, no snow go. What was our thing that we do at night or evening after school is get a cardboard and slide down over the bank, go down the bank and come back up hundreds of times, I guess. Then sometimes we bury a drum down at the bottom and slide right on, jump right over that. Sometimes we run over some young kids and get bloody nose and all that. So that was our way of having something to do in the evening after we fill up our boxes, wood boxes for the stove, Yukon stove or whatever kind of stove you have, and get ice from the river. And that was our chore about how we what we do in evening time. And so with that, I would like to say that I'm glad to be here with you folks, and especially nowadays when you don't know when a person would be here and next, before you know it, they pass on or something. And I'd like to thank all my friends that come down to participate in this mini jamboree, because of the flood. You know that we had a tough time this last few days. I even lost my dog team. Ever since I remember way back in the 40s, and Dad used to have a dog team in 1945, and I was just a little fella then, and I'm still a little fella. But then I've been around dog team all that time till just last year. I sent them up to Fairbanks, and the animal shelter called me a couple of times, and they said, we're ready to send your dog team down. I tell them, now go ahead and just distribute it all around to whoever want to care for them and make use of them. So that's only how I got out of the dog mushing the world of sport there. Because every time spring come along, we used to have dog races, and that's some kind of entertainment we love, a lot of us here along the Yukon. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much. And one last thing. 1962, I was the chief of the Athabascan Indian tribe here for a long time, about 10 years or more. And so I'm used to talking in front of people. How I got a little brave here is that I also play for dancers all over, from Canada down to Holy Cross, to Anchorage, down over to Fort Yukon. So, and I'm not the best in the world, but for some reason they always get me to sing those good old songs, and that you'll hear from me for the next 2 days. I thank you very much.
Paddy. On behalf of the Yukon Jamboree, I'd like to present Paddy with something that he can chew on while he's playing his music. Fish and fish strips.
Wow.
Well, anyway. Enjoy.
You know, just right here. That's a really good fish that came up all the way from down around Yukon somewhere. This thing is called dalkona. So that's Athabascan language right there. Oh, Bashi.